This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad Roltgen here with the Fresno Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Investors Group. Today, we're kind of talking about what's changing or potentially changing here in the new year as we roll into January 2024. We've got, Bitcoin ETFs we've kind of been watching for a while and some other things. So we've got a little list. I think we'll just kind of start working through it. So if you guys have any topics, go ahead and throw them in chat, or if you have access on this Google Doc, feel free to add them there as well. I'm going to share that so we can see. See, my screen got small on me here. Here we go. All right. Oh, looks so good. Oh, Ken, welcome. A couple more joining us in. Good to have you guys on. So yeah, the Bitcoin ETFs, it looks like I keep seeing, final reviews, final this or whatever. So does it you look to you guys like we're just, potentially a couple weeks away from this? What have you guys read as far as, the details and being able to fund these things?
Closer than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah. And so, my outlook has always been as soon as this happens, there's nowhere to go but up for Bitcoin. Um, if because it's not going to be like, 10,000 flows into these funds. It's going to be, 10 billion type of thing. And unless they're doing, everything is paper, because my understanding is they've got to actually, hold Bitcoin, behind this. So if they've got to buy $10 billion of Bitcoin um, a month, just say, for a number to use, yeah, it's nothing compared to what Michael Saylor's doing. But for the rest of us, it's going to, kind of move the needle. So I don't see how it could go anywhere, but up. Now, it may not be overnight, but as people start reviewing their portfolios, maybe at tax time and seeing what's going on, and they talk to their investment advisors, and they're like, hey, there's this Bitcoin thing you could do now, and maybe they've got a $200,000 401k, and they're like, yeah, let me put 5,000 into Bitcoin or something like that, and a million or two people doing that, look what that would do. So that's kind of what I'm thinking we're going to see. Now, Chris, thanks for this article. Let me pull it up here real quick just to kind of take a look at it. Do you want to kind of summarize it maybe for us real quick?
So being Bitcoin minded and the establishment, the OG Max Kaiser, he is it's promising, but it's also you have to take it with a grain of salt when we're talking about mass adoption. So he's looking at this convergence of times of events that looking at what's going on, he's calling it a bait and switch. His tweet said, in 40 years of finance, I've never seen such coordination and cooperation by so many financial institutions working hand in glove with regulators and politicians as I'm seeing with the coming wave of Bitcoin ETFs. I think we may be in for some unwelcome surprises. So I think that what he's looking at is basically a bait and switch, meaning that they're opening their arms up for this Bitcoin thing, ETFs, but it's not the Bitcoin that we are looking at, that we've looked at up until now, especially with what's going through Congress when they're actually talking about, for the most part, outlawing self custody. So the convergence of that and this ETF thing, he's being very skeptical as far as it's not the mass adoption that we would like to see.
Right. And I don't even consider it to be mass adoption in the sense that people aren't, you know, setting up their Coinbase accounts or Trezor or Exodus wallets to
No, no,
self
it's
custody.
it is mass adoption in a sense that the
Yeah.
individual isn't the one leading the it's the individuals aren't going to come to it until the establishment and the institutions and the financial, like BlackRock, says it's okay.
Right. Correct. Correct.
That's what will lead to mass adoption.
Okay.
But that's not what he's saying, that he suspects, it's only suspicion that there's a bait and switch going on. It's not the Bitcoin that that you, me, and everyone on this call is probably kind of bought into. It's going to be the Bitcoin that the establishment, the Black Rocks, they're gonna have the everything, and then you're gonna buy it from them. It's not freedom, and that's one of the reasons why they're in Congress going through right now is this self custody issue. The individuals like you, me, and everyone else on this call, we have self custody for the time being, but the self custody is only going to be the establishment, the BlackRocks. They're the ones that are going to hold it.
If I may, after kind of reading over this article, it I kind of see the point, but also I think it's an oversimplification and kind of an exaggeration, because it's not necessarily a bait and switch, unless, of course, like you're saying, Chris, with the other end of things where you pull back and kind of remove self-custody. The idea of it being an ETF where you can't necessarily own the Bitcoin directly, and you can't have you can only have a cash redemption for it, is essentially the same baseline of every ETF. Like, it's nothing different from any other ETF at that point. You don't own any of the underlying shares in any other ETF. You don't own any of the companies directly. You own the ETF as a basket. And so you don't have a direct pull other than cash from that ETF. Now, if they did do, like you're saying, where they outlawed self-custody, that would be a whole different story. That would be all the institutions essentially owning Bitcoin at that point. But I don't see it going that way, because it's been so long at this point. Like, outlawing it would be kind of tantamount to being like, okay, you can't own the things you already have.
That's what he's saying. He suspects because of the bill that was introduced by Elizabeth Warren and I think there was a Republican who was a former bank associate, and saying that they're not that it's going to pass. He's saying he suspects it because of the timing, the convergence of that bill and the ETF, and the acceptance and the approval of the ETF.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, with the, he talks about everybody working together. To me, it seems like, different institutions have been trying to do this for years, and it's like they've been stuck at this gate. And it's like now there's so many people or institutions that have been doing this, are all stuck at the gate, and they all got to the same, they all ended up in the same spot. Now, BlackRock may have been there for 3 years. Chase may have been there for 2 years, whoever. And now all of a sudden they're getting ready to open the gate for everyone to make it fair, not just, oh, BlackRock, we're going to let them have first dibs for a year before anybody else goes. So that's, I don't quite take his, working hand in glove with them, because it seems like the regulators have been fighting it for so long. It seems like they don't have a choice at this point to do it, especially when they've let other things go through similar, where like the futures one, it's like, dude, this is to me more safe than the futures instruments that have been allowed.
Right.
Now, as long as there's not some funky thing where they don't have to back the ETFs with actual Bitcoin, if they start playing the paper game like they do with gold, then that's where, if they're only holding 40% of the gold they're supposed to be holding, that's where things could get ugly. And then if that goes bad, then all of a sudden it looks like it's a crypto scam when it's really just a financial scam, like FTX was. FTX, what happened there had nothing to do with crypto technology or all that. It's, these guys doing shady deals, moving money around, that kind of thing. So, but obviously crypto gets drawn down.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Yeah. I think ETF, there's really no crypto regulation. Back in 1921, they said, or 22, it was supposed to come out in March 20th, but it didn't. So they pushed it forward. And the same thing happened to 23. Now, if we're talking about the ETF, can you imagine institutions putting in millions and billions of dollars, and then they get swiped out? the billionaires are going to be upset. So I don't think it's going to happen until we have regulation. That is the core. Okay, we could talk about, yeah, it's going to happen next year. No, it's not. Until they define what crypto is, what staking is, yeah, then it's doable. But it's not going to happen until we have regulation. They're saying this regulation is going to happen until 2024, or actually 2025, but we haven't seen it. So I don't think BlackRock is really to set it, because look, securities doesn't have a definition for crypto. They don't know what it is. Until you define it, then it's a go-ahead.
Right. And did you see the blurb where Coinbase was suing the SEC to define? And I'm like, how ludicrous is this when they're basically saying, we want to follow the rules, but you got to tell us what the rules are. It's like,
Well, if you read the Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act that Senator Warren and Marshall put forth in December, it does define crypto assets, but then it also says, this is what I think this is the thing. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it would also impact unhosted or self-custody crypto wallets, requiring platforms like Coinbase and networks to identify such customers. So you have to be associated with your self-custody, and then you have to track their transactions from their self-custody. And then I think what Max Kaiser's saying is that's the first step. First, we find out who has the self-custody crypto wallets, and then we can limit it from there. That's what this bill does. It makes the networks like if you have Coinbase and you're sending it from an address that you could track on the blockchain, and if it looks like it's a self-custody wallet, this bill would require custody to put that address in your name.
wait. Okay. You said require custody to put that address in your name. So you're talking
It's requiring networks and exchanges to identify individuals and their self-custody crypto wallets.
Okay. So if this went into effect January 1st of next year, and I had $5,000 in Bitcoin in my Exodus wallet, and I transferred that to my Coinbase account, and so they want Coinbase to look at that and go, we don't recognize that address.
Right.
They assume that it's mine because it's going to my Coinbase account. So then they would add that Bitcoin address kind of as related.
That's what I read for the Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act, because they're trying to identify individuals who own self-custody wallets.
Well, it's already essentially KYC anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that I agree with the philosophy there, but it's the same as all the major financial organizations. For some reason, I can't remember the names of them at the moment, but
FinCEN,
yeah, like FinCEN, or even the large international ones that are
like the
BIS. Yeah, like the BIS. Those are already regulations that they have in place against money laundering in traditional financial markets anyway.
And this is what, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is what he means by it's a bait and switch. It's not the Bitcoin or the crypto market that we are aware of. It's going to be an integration into the mainstream.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see where he's going, or yeah.
I think I can see that, and at the same time, it feels like it's not quite the bait and switch like he's highlighting, because honestly, it's the same as what crypto has been trying to do to some extent, which is comply with the general financial market regulations so that they don't become an outlawed entity, essentially. But it's also just kind of a natural progression to be honest, I don't like that progression because it does disallow us having our privacy with it, but it's kind of one of those necessary things in a sense to become part of the more easily usable market, because they're going to look at it as like, oh, I don't recognize this institution, I'm not going to accept your money if it's crypto.
Right. They might put a hold on it and say, Brad, you need to identify where this came from. and I might log in and say, this is my address
Oh,
and
good.
I'm transferring it, it's like from one bank to another type of thing, or it's a payment, maybe somebody sold me a car and, or vice versa, type of thing. Yeah, good point. And we had a bunch of people join us after we started, guys. We're just kind of got started on this list of topics to discuss. If you guys have anything else that you want to kind of add to the list, you can either add it to the Google Doc if you already have access, or just throw it in chat. And then we'll kind of go through those. But this Bitcoin ETF has been a big one, but I don't want it to dominate the entire meeting today. Yeah, anybody else have any other thoughts? Or just would you invest in a Bitcoin ETF, or how would that fit within what you're already doing in crypto? Yeah,
What's
So-
the
I
answer?
Oh,
can jump in a little bit here if you don't mind.
hey, go ahead, David.
I
On the
actually do. I have a lot of actual like Bitcoin in my IRA through like Grayscale. So I would probably that's going to just get converted into an ETF when it gets approved. I'm just really excited just because I know that there's just like this floodgate of institutional money that it's going to be it's going to be the institutional FOMO. It's like if you don't have Bitcoin in your portfolio, you're like a negligent, money manager because of the growth it's had. You know what I mean? So there's going to be this FOMO, and the ETFs are going to give them access to do that without having to do self custody for the institutions, which is pretty complicated. So that floodgate is what I'm banking on, and we're all banking on it. But there's
Right.
also the kind of the downside of it. The more scrutiny, the more regulation. Some of it will be good, some of it will be bad. Yeah, who knows what's really going to happen? But I just, I don't mind participating in it for like my IRA. You know what I mean? But I'm like about 90% crypto, anyways, for my investments. So the rest of it, I'm not going to really do it, just general market. But since I have to have stocks in there, you know what I mean, I might as well use the ETFs. So that's kind of my strategy on that side.
Okay, and good point on the FOMO. There was something I saw where they added, I don't know if it was BlackRock or one of the other ones, where they were going to allow other large institutions, Chase and folks like that, to become, I don't know if they called them like tier one clients or something, where in essence I could invest through Chase directly into this BlackRock ETF, even though I wasn't a BlackRock customer type of thing. So kind of lets Chase and these other ones resell BlackRock's ETF. And so when I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow. So now Chase, Bank of America, whoever doesn't have to go through all that themselves. They can just go through BlackRock's or whichever ones decide to do that. So that even opens it up more. And like you said, David, now there's no reason that Schwab or anybody else couldn't offer that to us as a direct product. But yeah, thanks, Chris. Authorized participant to do that. So yeah, good point. Okay. Any other? Was Gabe? Were you trying to jump in there, or anybody else? Go ahead and unmute and or is it Ken? Go ahead, Ken.
No, I'm just sharing some information through the chat.
Oh, okay. Appreciate that too. Yeah, very good. Okay.
I'm not sure if I had invested in Bitcoin ETFs. I have to do a lot more research first.
Yeah.
I'm just happen using my bots right now. So
Yeah, there's still going to be room for us, and everything we've talked about so far has all been US centric. There's still, the whole rest of the world that thankfully doesn't have to deal with, well, they shouldn't say that. They have to deal with the crap that our regulators put some of us through. But
If I can add one
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So everyone on this call who actually owns or has self custody of their own Bitcoin, that's one thing. But and I've done this, you guys have done this. I try to convince friends, family through Facebook, posting about Bitcoin, trying to orange pill everybody. They're not going to believe me. They're not going to believe you. They haven't done, for the most part. I mean, because I'm just kind of a weird guy. But you know who they're going to believe? They're going to believe BlackRock, Fidelity. They're going to believe where their money is already at. And then if they get an email, if they get, their money manager calls them and tells them, hey, you got to do this, they're going to believe them before they believe me. So that's going to, I think it's going to orange pill, or it's going to give a shade of orange instead of
There's
getting like,
shade. There you
instead
go.
of doing a full orange, it's going to be like a lighter color of orange. You're going to get introduced to Bitcoin, but it's not going to be Bitcoin, and that's actually not a bad thing because it introduces them to the environment, and hopefully, as it becomes more acceptable, they're like, well, maybe I want to hold the asset, not just have somebody else hold the asset for me.
Right. It gives them, legitimizes the asset class.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So yeah, and if you're concerned, Chris, about your friends and stuff and family not believing you, maybe the first step is to get rid of that green hair. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. Anthony, you brought up the Ethereum ETF. And I know I've heard just bits and pieces. Is there one company doing that? More than one? Fill us in what you know on that.
From what I've heard, there's at least 2 or 3 different companies trying to build up an ETF for Ethereum. The only problem is they keep getting kind of that regulation sidestep because of the supposed lack of decentralization for Ethereum, where they're saying, okay, maybe it's an unregistered security, which pushes them off of doing an ETF for it because they're not sure if they're going to get dinged for it, and then if they're going to be able to have it in the ETF in the first place because of that. Which has delayed it multiple times from what I've been reading. It's one of those like in limbo. Nobody's sure if they're doing it yet, but I think the basic outline I've read multiple times is that it's not at the point of like buy the rumor, sell the news, because they're not even sure if it is likely to happen. So they're like, we're not even sure if this counts as rumor yet.
Right.
So I think
it's alpha rumor.
Exactly.
If I may, it's actually implicitly in the SEC's approval already. Whenever they lost, when Grayscale won their lawsuit, and the court said to the SEC, you are, what do they say? There's 2 words they used, that they were being, by approving the future ETF, which they, oh, by the way, already did for Ethereum as well. This counts. People think of Bitcoin ETFs, but it also accounts for the Ethereum ETF that the SEC, the future ETF that they approved last year.
Yeah,
meaning that the spot ETF for the future ETF is no different than the spot. In fact, it's the spot ETF is for the Ethereum is actually safer than the futures. And by the court saying, and this is the same thing for BT, this is why I think it's more implied that Ether will get accepted, because it's the same thing applies with Bitcoin. It's just it's going to come after Bitcoin.
Well,
yeah,
and
I think this is pushing open those gates, and then who knows what's going to come after it.
Yeah, and that's true. It's been kind of the same thing with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the others, because there are not spot. There are futures ETFs for actually even some of the altcoins.
Top 10.
They have like a top 10 one as well, and it's like, okay, you can have this, but you can't have a spot, which is actually safer. And they've been pushing that, but that's been open for what, at least 6 months now, and it hasn't changed, which I think is the caveat where people are like, we're not sure if this is actually going to happen or not yet. And I think once they make an official ruling that says, okay, because of this, it's not allowed that you can have a futures but not a spot, then it'll be buy the rumor, sell the news kind of moment.
Yeah, because that makes no sense to have the future without the spot. Okay. Let's jump to some of these other topics, and unless anybody else had something else to throw in.
I did something I want to make sure everyone heard about. It kind of only got talked really about on like Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Did you see that the head of the Islamic church cleric guy or whatever basically said that Bitcoin is an acceptable form of payment now as part of their kind of approved religious financial instruments? You know what I mean? So that could you know, I mean, basically the religion there is a law. So by them saying that, then they can open up their framework of their laws to basically include it into their financial system now. So that could be like just as big, if not bigger, than the Bitcoin ETFs, where there's just like people all over, you know, Islam, but you know,
Right. Obviously, a
buying in
good
one.
chunk of the world
Yeah,
population. Right.
two
Right.
billion people or whatever. So that could be huge.
Yeah. And obviously, that's not something we're going to hear about a whole lot. Just like you said, you just saw it on Twitter and that kind of thing. But definitely could start moving the needle.
Yeah, not sure when that'll really kind of have an effect or not, but it could be, you know, it could be like even bigger or not bigger than the ETFs. So we'll see how it happens with that.
Yeah. 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 Good point. Yeah. Thanks, David. Um, okay. I had seen some moves on Solana recently. What anybody knows what's going on there or that kind of thing? Let me pull up a chart and look at it.
They have gone like 8x this year or something like it's crazy. They have a lot of really strong kind of partnerships with like corporations, like major corporations. Um, I think just because their network is so fast, they have like one of the fastest networks. And you know, I think that's kind of the main thing. Is just there's a lot of projects launching on Solana. Um, there's just so much activity on the network and just major corporate partners. If you like click on their hit the little like website link, you can kind of see like all the partners, like the bottom, kind of the left side of the screen there where it says
Oh yeah.
official links. Hit the website one,
Let's see.
and you kind of like see like they just have lists some of their corporate partners on their website.
Wow. Okay. So because I remember when that Ethereum announced that like Ethereum 500 or something that was 500, corporate entities working on projects. So maybe they're kind of coming in at number 2 behind them because I mean, every couple of months we saw, oh, this new one is going to take down Ethereum. This is going to be a competitor to Ethereum, but so maybe this is finally a significant move towards that.
Yeah, I hate that phrase when people say, "Oh, this is like the Ethereum killer." Like you're not going to kill Ethereum.
Right, it's a
You're going to
competitor.
compete with them. You know, I mean,
Yeah, if it's a legitimate competitor as opposed to just one step beyond a test net or something. But yeah, if you've got some of these
yeah,
Google, yeah,
like,
it's almost surprising we haven't heard more out of Google as far as what they're doing with crypto because I mean, they're into so many different things. It seems like for them to get into crypto in a big way would not be a surprise. And there's so many angles that they could take that, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, David. Any of
yeah,
these, let's look at these other ones. It's obvious. So obviously, really in the last 3 or 3.5 months, we've had like a 4 to 5x, run compared to what we
yeah.
did. Let's look at all time here.
Who are Solana's competitors?
It's like Ethereum and Polygon and like Avalanche. Like
Whole layer ones.
Avalanche has been on a good run too. I
Let's see
think
what that one's
think
been doing.
Matic Polygon is gonna pop really big this year too.
Because obviously there's room for plenty of them. Okay, so these guys, this chart almost looks like the other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Solana was up more, but yeah, it's pretty strong growth in a couple of those. Yeah.
So sometimes when one goes up, the others follow, so to speak. But
After reading that article, Chris, that you dropped in there, that actually reminds me. I was watching something. I think it was Wendy O, who does a lot on Solana. If Fire Dancer is a jump, a jump based scaling solution, it makes sense that it pumped as much as it did because Jump is also doing a airdrop recently.
Yep.
So a lot of people are piling into Solana hoping to get that Jump airdrop.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of coins that launched on Solana that have done pretty well, so I think that's a big part of it too. Just not just the big corporate partners, like just the blockchain projects, coins, and all kinds of stuff building on their network.
Is anyone by any chance familiar with any new things launching on the AVAX network?
They supposedly they just have a ton of stuff coming on their network. I don't really know the names of it. It's just like the amount of developers using their blockchain is like it's really high, from what I hear.
Anything in particular as far as like I know last year they had introduced that I don't know how to even put it, but the legal aspect of it where you could use it as a way to fund lawsuits. Essentially, you could like crowdfund lawsuits. Has there been anything like that that they've introduced recently that's kind of new and novel?
I don't know any particular project they have on their thing, but I just know from what I hear, they just have it's like really easy to build on their blockchain. They have a lot of kind of like tools to make it really simple to build on their blockchain, and they have a fast blockchain, so that's kind of the advantage of it. So it's just making it easier for developers. It's less costly to kind of build on their network because of that. Yeah, that's from what I heard. Do you guys know more about like that Ton coin? I saw it kind of just pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's why, because I hadn't seen it before.
It's like the crypto for like the Telegram. It's like the crypto coin for Telegram, but I'm not really sure like what's going on with it. I bought a tiny bit of it just to kind of in case it blew up, but it actually went. I bought it too early. It went down a lot after I bought it, but I'm about flat from where I bought it now.
They usually do.
I just put a link in for the AVAX projects in the chat.
Okay, thanks. Let me grab that. Yeah, that link in Coinbase or CoinMarketCap didn't want to open for their website. Is the most advanced? Is that a proper English? Okay, maybe so. Wow. Okay, yeah, we could check that out later.
So many things you never, you don't know if you ever actually hear of them or not. But yeah, there's a lot of cool.
Right. So if this is now, do you know who's behind this Tone coin? Is it actually Telegram or is somebody?
Yeah, I kind of read about it, but then I kind of forgot what the background story was. You know what I mean?
Using a technology designed by. Okay.
I guess it is from Telegram.
Using a technology design. Interesting. I mean, because obviously if that's something that they integrate with Telegram, there's millions of people that, David, here's $10 for lunch, that you bought yesterday or that kind of thing. We do that through Telegram. That's the kind of mass adoption that, we need to see in use cases where people can use it.
Yeah, that's what encouraged me, just because if they can, this is what I thought might happen a long time ago. Do you remember when Facebook thought about doing their own coin and integrating it with like Messenger and all that?
Right.
If they could kind of execute that, I think it'd be huge. So that's kind of why I took a little nibble on it.
Yeah, and that's like Musk is talking about turning Twitter into a financial platform. Now, obviously, if we could send,
everything.
Yeah. And it's like you almost can't doubt him based on what he's done so far. So yeah, was somebody else jumping in there?
I was just going to say, I was on a CoinMarketCap live a couple of weeks ago, and they had one of the presenters was from the Open Network.
Oh, okay. Oh, and that's what it stands for, the Open Network. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And any other?
I think they were talking about GameFi on that particular live. But 2/3 of the internet is used for gaming. You realize that?
That was actually going to be a question I had, was kind of looking into
65%.
Everyone keeps talking about GameFi as like the next big pop off in crypto, and I'm wondering like if this is one of those big deals for GameFi, maybe that's why we're seeing Toncoin kind of come up. Is that maybe it, Kenneth?
The thing that
Yes.
surprises me the most about Toncoin is it's like really high up on the market cap list, and it's not on any centralized exchanges. Like really, it's all decentralized. So if it does, you know what I mean. From what I remember, like maybe you can buy it on outside of the United States, but I don't think I could really buy it. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it is on a few, but yeah, not really in America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the other topic I had, that so many of these centralized exchanges were, it's like our choices are becoming limited in what we can do.
Yeah, the one I have to go to the most to find the like low cap coins is what is it? Let me look it up before I forget. I think it's Bitmart. I think Bitmart is the one that has a lot of stuff on there.
Okay.
Yeah, Bitmart is the one I'm using to buy like a lot of the obscure coins.
Okay. Yeah, and I think they've been around for a while. That sounds familiar. Oh, Digifin. Yeah, some of these. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there's Bitmart. Yeah.
So what's this little symbol?
Hello.
Hi, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nicole Brown. I'm a founder of a startup company,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and I'm looking to disrupt the real estate industry. It's one of the last industries that technology hasn't disrupted.
Oh boy.
So I decided to use blockchain technology to replace the title company. I'm a real estate agent. The transaction process is ridiculous.
Sounds like AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicole,
And
maybe shoot me your contact info, and let's talk, and maybe kind of have another meeting about that specifically, because we've talked about specific projects in the past, and that would be definitely an interesting one to talk about.
well, I have an exchange under development, and so I'm blockchain technology has brought me to this crypto space because crypto is blockchain. I mean,
Right.
if it is, you have to have a token to even get started.
Correct.
So
Unless you use somebody else's, but yeah.
so that's what brought me here, and you guys are the early guys. And I have an exchange, I have a token, and I just need people to play with it.
Ah,
Get it out there.
okay. You want to post some links for us in the chat, and then
I
everybody
posted.
can.
I sure will.
Oh, I see one here. Okay. All right. Okay. I may be falling behind. I've got too many screens I'm trying to run in here. Yeah, but definitely send me your contact info, and let's talk a little further
Oh,
offline on
that's
that.
great. I appreciate
Okay.
all that.
What block?
Oh, oh, sorry, David. I was trying to mute Michael because he's on the phone. Go ahead and unmute Mike or David. David. Yeah.
I was just curious what blockchain Nicole was using for her exchange.
Ethereum.
Yeah, it gives you more credibility, but it's just higher on the gas fees. But yeah, that's a good blockchain, obviously.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah. Thanks, Nicole. Let's definitely connect here maybe next week and talk further and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I just want to chime in on the open network ton token, the fact that they're using Telegram. I transferred over to Discord for a lot of my social media. Just be careful of being on Telegram. A lot of scammers there.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, everywhere. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Thanks. Good reminder, Ken. That's yeah. And it doesn't seem like it matters if you're new into crypto or been around for a while. I still get messages from people asking me to look at this, look at that, and I'm like, well, come on, you've been doing this for a few years. You should know better, kind of thing. But
Yeah, anyone you don't know that just starts chatting with you randomly out of the blue, chances are they're like, "Hey, you want to buy Forex?" Or I have this great crypto investment fund you should invest in. Like, sure, sure, buddy. Yeah, it's coming out of the woodworks. So watch
Yeah,
out for those.
yeah. Yeah, since we're talking about the exchanges a little bit, have you guys been throttled or saddled with not being able to do something that you wanted to do? Because an exchange went down. Like one that came up this last week, I was talking to somebody that was trying to get some funds out of KCS, the KuCoin coin. And I'm like, wait, we can't use KuCoin anymore. So what do you do? And it's not cool.
I guess if you have someone you really trust overseas, you could have them log into your account over there and then send it to you.
Yeah, well, fortunately, KuCoin's allowed, us in the US to get out of coins and transfer them out. But, or at least, yeah, I remember when it happened, I could sell whatever to USDT, I think, and then I could transfer that out.
Okay, I used to have a lot on KuCoin, but I kind of I cleared it all out, kind of fearing that would happen eventually. So, and it did.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. Can I say something about the exchanges? Yeah, more and more exchanges will be closing down, and it's going to be harder to retrieve your money. A good example would be like Uphold. They're taking a long time. Or what happens, they put certain criteria where you have to wait 6 months with a photo ID just to extract your funds out of there. So as you can see, it's just getting harder and harder as time progresses.
Yeah, that's how the government kind of controls it in the United States. Is they control the on ramps and off ramps. You know what I mean? Like Binance, they basically just took away all their on ramp off ramps. So they were just like, screw it, we're just going to be exchange only, no USD at all anymore. You know, just USDT and other cryptos. They were like, screw it, not worth it. You know, several other ones are like that too. You know what I mean? So there's only a few less and less options for putting money in and out. So watch out for that.
My experiences with Uphold has actually been exact opposite. For the longest time, I think for the first year, I had to wait. I want to say 3 to maybe even 5 months, and then there was a point in which, because I was doing so much, they said that I had been KYC'd and that I would be able to withdraw within, I think it was 3 to 5 days. So it went actually opposite. I was able to withdraw faster based on my time and my KYC.
I personally prefer Kraken. I can kind of put money in and out like super fast. If you do an ACH, you can put it in, but then you have to wait 7 days to withdraw it. But if you do a wire, you can literally sometimes get you access to your money in or out same day. So that's pretty cool. That's the one I prefer, and they have lower fees. So
how do the fees compare on there to, say, for instance, crypto.com? Because that's the one I tend to lean towards.
I haven't cost compared the two, but the thing that's a little bit tricky about Kraken is they have all these different views. They have like a kind of like a newbie format, and then there's like the pro one. And if you use the pro one, the fees are lower. If you use the simple one, where it's like just swap this one for that one, you know, the fees are higher. So just kind of depends on which style you're using. So I'd have to do a cost comparison on those two. But you know, from my experience, it just seems like Kraken is lower fees. I'm only paying like a fraction of a percent, you know what I mean, on trades, which is kind of nice.
That definitely sounds lower, because I think when I was doing cost comparison between crypto.com and I think Coinbase, I think crypto.com was cheaper than Coinbase, but crypto.com wasn't clear about their fees because they built it into the direct price. And I think it was about like, I want to say 1% on average.
It seems like
crypto the worst.
Yeah, it seems like crypto.com also gets you when you transfer the coins off the exchange, that the fees there were pretty high. I remember doing that with BNB back a couple years ago, and especially if you're doing like $200 or $300, it was like 0.2 of a BNB, but then once you hit like 500, it was 0.1. So it wasn't even proportional.
It depends how you transfer them off. With crypto.com, if you use the non-native chain, if you don't use Chronos, the fees are higher. But if you use Chronos to transfer and wrap the coin and then unwrap on the back end, it charges next to nothing, and it's relatively fast and stable.
Oh gosh, that makes it a little more complicated, unfortunately, for a lot of people.
It actually isn't too bad. It literally is just a little drop down menu, and you select you want to use Chronos to transfer it, and then it automatically unwraps on the back end.
But what kind of wallet are you sending it to?
You can send it to their DeFi, or I've sent it to Trust Wallet. I've sent it to not Coinbase.
Huh. Okay.
Binance. I've sent it to Binance before. I've sent it to one or two others. I think MetaMask, and it automatically unwraps before it even gets there. It's just a bridge.
Where they force you to use their network just so they get more activity. Yeah.
Hey, I don't care if it keeps my fees that low. I'll take it.
Yeah.
If we're talking about fees, I think it was mentioned last time, but if you guys do like an auto direct with if you get paid, like my employer sends it directly to Coinbase and I don't have to pay any fees. So that's one way of dollar cost averaging on a biweekly basis or however often you get paid. I don't pay fees to buy Bitcoin. It just auto pay when I get my paycheck, it sends it to Coinbase and they transfer it over and buy Bitcoin. I don't pay any fees. You can do that for Ethereum. You can do that for anything. You tell Coinbase what you want to buy.
Is that a deal where because you're transferring your paycheck into there, they automatically negate the fees? Because I know a couple exchanges
Yes.
have done that.
If you have an account with Coinbase, you have the ability go to the website. I don't want to go to the app. Go to the website, and you can actually find out what your checking account number. It's like a checking. It's not a checking, but it's like in a checking account because your employer requires either a checking or savings. So they make it so it's like a checking account, and it's automatically deposited, and then Coinbase automatically buys whatever you tell it to buy. In my case, it's Bitcoin, and you don't pay any fees whatsoever. And I do that every 2 weeks.
So there's no fees on the trading when you're after you deposit it automatically buys and there's no
Nope.
fees on the
Automatically
buy
buys it.
transaction?
No fees to buy.
That's
That
pretty
is
cool.
a saving. That's a great point, Chris, because yeah.
It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. I choose Bitcoin, but it could be it gives you you tell Bitcoin what or I'm sorry, you tell Coinbase what asset you want to buy and they do it and there's no fees.
Do you have to do it on a recurring schedule buy? Because I know sometimes they've different platforms have required that for that discount.
No, just whenever you give your employer the account number, which is equivalent to a checking account, it even says it on the website that this is equivalent to a checking account, a number that you give your employer, which I did. It's automated. You know, you put it. It's all you have to submit your. Just like I get my regular paycheck to my Bank of America, I get a this say what they call it, a withdrawal of $50 to my personal account, $50 to my wife's personal account, and then Coinbase has its own checking account equivalent to, and I have $250 going there every 2 weeks, and they're not expecting it. It's just whenever I get money to that account, it doesn't even have to be your employer. You can just transfer. I think it's auto. I think it is part of the auto pay, but you don't have to. I haven't paid, and I've been doing it since September, and I haven't paid any fees on that part of it.
Yeah,
Huh.
you could set up
That's
an auto
interesting.
transfer from another bank, like another one of your bank accounts, and probably do the same thing. Because I know I do that with a couple accounts to just move money around so they don't charge me a monthly fee, type of thing.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
that is a good idea because I kind of do something like that with crypto.com, but then I end up paying whatever. So I may have to change that. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
That's a
same
good one.
here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm curious, Chris, you were saying that's like a direct deposit from your employer.
Correct.
Well, I'm self-employed, and so I don't have direct deposit, as it were. So am I able to do the same thing? Because I don't know exactly how that would work.
Hold on, I'm going to go to Coinbase website where
But just, I mean, you had said something a moment ago about just depositing money in there on a regular basis. I mean, do they consider that the same kind of thing as a direct deposit?
I'm thinking probably so, because I do something like that with my Bank of America account to avoid the fees, and I transfer the funds from my Schwab account.
I think, Mike, as long as you're transferring it directly from the business account, the specified business account for your funds, it
Right.
would count as a direct deposit from a business.
Oh,
You
okay.
just couldn't do it from your personal account after it's already been transferred in as your like paycheck, essentially.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because self-employed, I don't get sole proprietor. So, money just gets deposited in my account from either checks just come from customers, or which I put them in, or like this morning, that we work for Amazon, and so they're one of our customers, and there was a $3,700 deposit today.
With
But
that,
it won't go in until Monday. But
with that, you might actually even be better off doing it that way, where you pay from the business account to there, because then you could write it off as a business investment rather than out of your personal pay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good point.
Right now, I do on Coinbase, I pay $9.99 a month, and so anything I trade, there's no fee on that. Is that what you were talking about, Brad, about the monthly thing that you get charged?
No, I was talking about like my Bank of America. I don't use the account for very much,
Oh,
but if I have an automatic deposit to it, I don't know if they intended it to be like a paycheck, but I just do it from my Schwab account. Then they don't charge me a monthly fee.
What
okay.
what you're talking about, Michael, is the Coinbase One for zero trading fees, and it says here $29.99 a month. I'm actually on the site right now. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but Coinbase has that Coinbase One for zero trading fees.
Huh. Well, I don't get any trading fees. Now, I don't trade very often. I'm just buying. I'm just in a serious accumulation mode. Well, for 6 years, but I get charged $9.99 a month, and I get no fees. And so I don't know about the 29. Maybe that's where it's gone up to. Maybe I got grandfathered in or something. I don't know. But I was just curious about the direct deposit, because that's not something that I have available. But if it's
in Coinbase, I'm actually on the site right now. Under settings, you have direct deposit. If you log into your account, you go to savings at the very bottom. It says more, and you hit savings. There's a tab called direct deposit, and it says your direct deposit setting, and I could select the asset. And whenever I select the asset, it actually gives me USDC, Bitcoin, Ethereum, US dollar, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, OX protocol, and list. Actually, I'm not going to list all of them, but there's 100. There's XRP, there's Optimism, there's you name it. It's on Sandbox, Ocean Protocol. You can actually have it transferred, and it says here, your deposit can be paid out in any asset listed on Coinbase. No trading fees. And when I go to the little information thing, it's all black. But then what I do is I have to enter my account information, routing number, account number, and that's the account number that it gives you, and you can copy it, and that's what you give your employer. So everyone has the ability, I think, to do this, because I am not a Coinbase One member, and I have the ability to do direct deposit.
I appreciate that.
Cool.
Something that normally I just go in and make a deposit or just buy. It's connected directly to an account. And so, but I would just rather have money in there where I don't have to think about it, because I'm just getting busier and busier. And so I would just rather have it do it automatically.
Yeah.
And so just briefly, if you guys could just, like, in a 30-second synopsis, what I missed the last hour and a half. I'm sorry, I was in another meeting. And what magical, wonderful things did you all talk about?
Yeah, we've got the recording for that, Michael. Let's try to go to a few, but
Okay.
most of it was about the ETFs kind of thing. But
You don't think that's
anybody
happening
else?
next week? Is there consensus on that?
Probably by the end of the month, maybe. Would that be safe? What do you guys think?
I think it's going to
I
be
think
next
the
week.
10th is the application or decision deadline.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. They did have that date.
Yeah,
Right.
it is sometime next week.
So it should be by Friday, hopefully. Like, I'm worried that they're going to come up with some other BS reason to kind of not have to push it back another month or however long this window is. I don't even know, but there's so much pressure on them. There's so much expectation. I'm over. I'm thinking it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't. But there's just so much pressure on this round. Like I've never all the other ones, I just assume it wouldn't get approved. This one, I'm actually assuming it will. Like this is the first time I ever think it actually will. And who knows? But this is the first time I've ever really been optimistic about it.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I just want to let you know, I put a couple of links in the chat. You can copy this over to the Google Doc if you'd like. The first one is about the TON token. And
Yeah,
the
I got
second
that
one,
Yeah.
the second one's about future Web3 and DeFi, or GameFi, excuse me.
Okay, and these are the Coin Market Cap live
Yes,
events?
they're the lives.
Okay, how often do they do them? What topics do they cover? You know, that kind of thing.
I just really learned about these within the last 2 weeks, so I'm trying to do some catch up. I have not watched the first one I listed in there, but I did do the GameFi one. Very, very interesting.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely including those in here to check out. So cool. Yeah, that's the problem is there's so much information we can't keep up, but that's why this group is so valuable because we can help each other keep up.
Well, I go to places either Coin Market Cap or Coin Gecko if I want to check out a coin.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
also a place called Lunar Crush, but you have to sign up for that.
what was it? Lunar Crush?
Yeah, Lunar Crush. I think it's spelled with a K. Let me go up here. Look.
Maybe post that in
with the C. I can post it in.
Yeah, do that and I'll copy over to the Google Doc. Okay. All right. Who else has got anything big they're looking at this year or changing? I mean, that thing with the centralized exchanges, I haven't been moving his funds around as much as I had in years past, and it kind of just came up in a conversation last week. I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of getting to the point where it sucks.
I think the big thing I've been looking at this year is kind of understanding a little bit more for Cardano, just as an odd to do, because I feel like I've looked at their project and I've really liked their project for a number of years, but recently noticing its stagnation, not just in price, but in actual like total value locked on its own native kind of side of things. And feeling like I'm wondering if Cardano is about to kind of have that moment where it just kind of fades into obscurity because of the lack of interoperability and its kind of slow pace. I mean, I love the research-based aspect of it, but there's been a lot of people talking about how it's likely to kind of fall behind because it's not willing to take steps forward without the full research backing.
And yet that might be its benefit because I think it's the sleeping giant, or if you will, the sleeping hydra, because whenever the future this year, they're going to release Hydra, and that's going to improve its TPS, I mean, like immensely, and you're going to be able to do so much more. And there'll be countries that will be using it as opposed to just businesses.
Yeah, that was my understanding that they're kind of focused more on, especially like in Africa, where it's going to become like a replacement for a lot of their monetary systems there. But I'm just a little bit skeptical of the. I don't think it's going to have the parabolic growth like some of the other projects will, just because the blockchain ecosystem is like evolving so fast. Like there's so much new, just like ideas and technologies coming out. It's like there's all these things, like I'm listening to all these YouTube channels and they're just busting out all these like new combinations of strategies on all these other blockchains that I'm just like trying to understand it all. It's like really hard. There's like ZK rollups and all these freaking things. There's like they're taking all these like different strategies and then like combining them and like melding them, and like there's like projects launching like every day. It's just so hard to keep track of it all. And it just seems like Cardano is kind of just like stuck in their direction, and they're not really adapting to how fast the market's evolving and going different directions. It's kind of, I think it'll do okay. I just think it's not going to have that price growth that some of the other projects will. It's kind of my attachment.
If I may, I read an article yesterday, and you guys are talking about applications on these different platforms and so forth. But I was reading a little something about inflow of money into different coins, and so just a couple of highlights here. In 2023, institutional investors invested $2.25 billion in crypto during 2023, 2.7 times that of 2022. Solana and Bitcoin were favored. So there was $167 million invested into SOL-based products, and only 78 million based or in Ethereum-based product. And the reason I mention that is because, what is the old saying? Look where the money is at. Look what's coming in here. So if something's dying, like Chris was saying, or, not getting the attention, maybe that attention is going somewhere else. Solana was up 900% last year, and Ethereum was up, I don't know what, 150% or 100%, something like that. And anyhow, I'm just throwing that out there, is that where the institutional money is coming in, not just people like us, that does have some effect on, what's going to live and what isn't going to live, even if there's a better project out there. It reminds me of the old days of I think I mentioned this before, but VCR or VHS and Beta. Beta was the far better product, far better. But Sony wouldn't license it, and VHS people licensed it to everybody. And what do we all? Well, we don't have them anymore. But what were there hundreds of millions sold of? VHS. So the better project did not win. Where the money went is what won.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Because I think I had put in the chat, Cardano, I think they primarily fund themselves through sale of Cardano, if I'm not mistaken. There's not a lot of VC money going into Cardano in the first place. My concern has just been hearing how many developers are kind of exodusing from Cardano lately because the lack of interoperability, but also the difficulty developing on the Cardano network. And I'm wondering, I know Hydra probably isn't going to make any difference to that, but is there any plans? Does anyone know of anything for Cardano that's geared towards making it more developer friendly?
Nope.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of super techie or oriented folks. So
I think that Charles Hoskins has, I guess, in an attempt to expand Cardano, has reached out was it Algorand? That I think there was a major executive that actually left Cardano. No, I'm sorry, left Algorand, went to work for Cardano, and then 1 year later went back. But then I guess they're talking about maybe having Cardano or Algorand be a part of maybe a side chain of Cardano. Have you read anything about that?
I haven't read anything about that, but I did read about the developer who left from there and went back. But the thing I noticed from that was that it would be odd if Algorand did get kind of absorbed into or kind of created as part of the ecosystem for Cardano, because Algorand itself has been geared more towards the government at this point. They've actually been trying to get in with the government and tested, I think, in Detroit or something like that, where it might have been Philadelphia, where they were testing out using Algorand as the CBDC, essentially. And so I would just be surprised if Cardano kind of okayed that absorption into theirs, because they're very kind of anti-centralization.
So here's I just Googled it. It's at the top, very top. The proposition made by Charles Hoskin, founder of Cardano, to Algorand also has stirred discussion within the blockchain community. Hoskins suggests that protocol consider becoming a sidechain of Cardano, citing the staking proficiency and developer strength of the Cardano ecosystem as potential advantages. That was last month.
And who is that from?
That's Charles Hoskins. It's Google. Here, let me just. You can Google it. All I did was I Googled Cardano Algorand sidechain, and then it gave me the discussion point. I'll put it in the chat. I'm not gonna put the. You can Google it yourself, but hold on. The quote. There
Hey,
you go.
Brad,
Yeah.
an admin, no, you can delete that first Lunar Crush link I gave to you. That's just if you want to sign up. The
Okay.
Discover one's better.
I did. Thank you. I did take that out of the Google Doc. I put your newest one in there, so appreciate that.
There's the quote by Google. You can actually, and it has a link where you can go read about it. But I remember the tweet from Charles Hoskin and also the follow-up articles about it, trying to, I guess, reinvigorate Cardano with making Algorand a sidechain.
Any thoughts on what that might actually do for Cardano, essentially, or for Algorand, other than just expanding more interoperability on a specific project?
Except for maybe joining two communities to maybe face their competition, and I'm not techie enough to know that answer.
The tech keeps changing, so how can you keep up with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Unless you do a
Anthony,
mind meld.
yeah, like Anthony mentioned with the Cardano's slowing down. It's like if they're not going 50 miles an hour, they're only going 20 miles an hour. They're still moving ahead, but if they're not moving ahead as quickly as the other ones, it looks like they're falling behind, type of thing. So,
But I just want to mention the Lunar Crush is more than cryptocurrency on. There's different topics you can follow: stock market, social media personalities, etc., etc. So there's
okay.
many categories you can look at.
And so it's like an aggregator of news or content. Okay. Huh.
Content.
Content. Okay. Interesting. Cool. Thanks for
It's like
sharing.
an AI
Yeah.
portal.
Let's talk about that real quick. And AI, I mean, seems to be the buzz, but it also seems like I'm starting to hear some negative things about it. You guys heard anything lately in AI crypto related projects?
I don't have anything specific on that, but I follow Coin Guru and they talk about it a lot. That's going to be kind of like look for the kind of themes for the crypto space that are going to be the ones that are going to be heavily used in the future. And like one of theirs talking about is the AI space in crypto is going to be like a trending kind of category. So like, yeah, they talked about the AI space. They talked about there's going to be ones focused on like online computing power, online storage, things like that. We talk about GameFi stuff like things like that. But AI could be a kind of category that could just see like really rapid growth, like a lot of projects and coins and stuff associated with that. So that could have a really good growth potential for that just kind of category in general, not individual specific project. Right? I couldn't tell you about that, but just the category is a good category to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Thanks.
curious.
Hold on. Nicole just posted about she's waiting for Bitcoin halving, which we've talked about, but AI 2.0, tell me about that. I haven't even sort of seen that term yet. What is 2.0 supposed to be, other than things maybe working better, and so you can't tell that it is AI? Because some of these articles are like, what is this crap? It's just
Hey, Brad, I'm waiting for Nicole. I have an update. Doug Kyle is the creator of Digibot and Insights DeFi Trader. He's
right.
developing an NFT right now. It's called Jelly Bean. It's going to be a price predictor for cryptocurrency. So he's titled it Jelly Bean for now. But that's a project that he's working on. He's developing his own AI protocol.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
About the AI 2.0, well, everything is going to get more integrated. Like everything is kind of, there's a lot of dots out there, but this AI 2.0 is going to make like a spider web out of everything. The AI, the machine learning, all these different ecosystems. So that's
Okay.
what that's going to enhance.
Okay, that was quick to getting to 2.0.
It's
But
the
that's okay.
internet. It's the Internet of Things with AI, I guess.
Or the AI Internet of Things or something. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to talk. Nicole. Cool. Cool.
Can
Okay.
I ask a quick question?
Please.
I'm curious as to what y'all think the downside of AI might be in relationship to crypto, especially in terms of passwords and keys. I was just having a discussion this morning about that. I was explaining to a friend of mine about the invulnerability of Bitcoin, for example, and its decentralization and so forth. And so, you know, will AI eventually crack the Bitcoin code? You know, now you can steal somebody's Bitcoin if you have their keys, but nobody's stolen Bitcoin directly without the keys. But can AI do something along those lines? Is that a worry that we need to have?
I don't think
Or
AI is necessarily, it's more the quantum computing and the computing power that's going to be a problem.
well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I mean, see, when I think of AI, I don't just think of, I think of this giant, like Nicole said, like this giant web, this spider web that encompasses everything. Imagine you look in the sky and you see the Milky Way, and imagine all of that being connected and all of that thinking at
Yes.
the same time, right? And that's what I'm saying here is that for me, AI is the complete conglomeration of every piece of computing power that could possibly be, or that it can get its hands on at that particular moment. And that level of power, is that going to be 256, 512, encryption?
Yeah. And see, when I look at the crack in the private keys or whatever, that's a very simplistic, it's one of those stars you're looking at. And we know what we have to do. We just have to have more power to do it faster, so it doesn't take 600 years to crack that password, because I'm not going to be around by then.
You're not?
But I think
You're not Moses?
well, we'll see. But I think what you're talking about is maybe looking at, just an example, looking at people's social media posts, what they do, what they post about, what they're interested in, and maybe using that to try to come up with a potential password. Hey, here's a guy that
I'm not
likes.
talking about, no, I'm not talking about breaking my password or your password.
Okay.
If you've got, 20 alphanumeric characters or whatever in yours, or 500, I'm talking about breaking into Bitcoin itself, breaking into the blockchain itself. Am I making sense, or am I just talking out of my rear end?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like they're not going to hack individual accounts. They're basically just going to hack into the whole blockchain to be able to just move around any Bitcoin they want anywhere they want without
Exactly.
any kind of
Exactly.
wallet kind of worries. You know what I mean? So
Because every piece of every Bitcoin, or I just had a buddy of mine have 7 Ethereum stolen from Coinbase. Okay, and they tried to steal his Bitcoin as well, but somehow they got his passwords. I don't know. They were in Turkey, and he's in Florida. Okay, so I don't know how this exactly happened. And now Coinbase wants to give them back at a value of $1,500, because that's when they were stolen. And so my point is everything that's ever been stolen in terms of crypto has been come from an exchange. So if you're off an exchange somewhere, and we all think that a cold wallet is like the end all be all of protection, I'm just saying, is AI a threat to that? I'm posing it out there. This is obviously a big picture question.
I'm a little bit more worried about them like not trying to steal our money than they are basically becoming conscious and trying to kill us all. That's
Well,
always
that's
my
a
worry.
problem too.
They're going to steal my money.
I mean, how many times have we seen in movies over the decades that something that was in a movie and seems so far out there is now standard stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, we all watch The Expanse or Star Wars or whatever, all that. That's going to happen one day at some point in time, right? And so those things that were all made up are going to be real, and
Yeah,
AI is going to bring us to that point.
seems like sometimes they kind of predict these things for us or something, or to get us normalizing them. But yeah, good point. Nicole has her hand up. Go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, I was going to speak to when he was talking about being able to break into actually Bitcoin. When he brought that up, I want to say, well, that's what blockchain is. It's the cryptography. So I've studied this for a while, and my professor says the sun will burn out before they would be able to crack the code on that. Even with the computing and the AI computing and things like that. So it's supposed to be military grade, basically, impenetrable.
Yeah, but as
That's what I heard.
yeah, but as computers get better, what was military grade 10 years ago is now on our iPhones, you know, kind of thing. So
I
we'll see.
wonder though. I wonder though if at that point though that would be like a hard fork moment where Bitcoin's coding might have to be hard forked to adjust for quantum computing strength and be based on quantum computing strength at that point, which would mean it would take, you know, whatever the next level is above quantum computing strength to actually break that code.
Right. Yeah, great
Yeah,
point.
I just worry about, you know, I mean, I'm all for technology, I'm all for advancement, but you know, things need to be looked at. And believe me, there are people who are the military strength, like Nicole was talking about. There are people who are thinking beyond that right now. There are people trying to break that right now. And like you said, Anthony, there's something, there's another level that's above wherever we're at now, that's the top level. And then at some point, that level will be surpassed by something else that we possibly can't even imagine right now. And so, you know, AI just gives you so many there's a complete, at least for me, there's a complete unknown possibility that AI can generate that we're not thinking about, that we're not even we're not concerned about right now, the average person, but will come to pass. I really truly believe it will come to pass.
It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Okay. Any other topics to talk about real quick and get in here before we get to the next month of 24 here? I don't know, maybe we'll have to revisit the Bitcoin ETF next month real quick to see where we're at and what happened. Because it, you know, it's hard to do anything when we can't do anything, you know, yet.
Only thing I'm a little bit worried about is, let's say the Bitcoin ETFs get approved, it's going to give Wall Street like more ability to kind of manipulate the price. You know what I mean? How much do we really trust them? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried about that. It's like the more money in one, the more Bitcoin that's going to be centralized in like BlackRock's ETFs, they could possibly like be leaking stories, trying to manipulate. Like I'm a little bit worried that just happened because you saw that big jump up over last weekend. They're like, oh, it could get approved, and then like, oh, it's not going to get approved this week. It's next week. The price nosedives, and then you hear a story about, oh, BlackRock is already like buying a bunch of Bitcoin, kind of getting ready for the ETF. You know what I mean? So they could have like manipulated the price down so they could save money on like when they buy,
more.
so they can kind of get those dips, force the dips and buy them, and then bring it back up, and it's kind of forcing dips. I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried about that. They're going to be manipulating up and down, kind of just to line their own pockets.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I mean, we're going to be in a better position with, what is it, 8 or 10 ETFs than just one.
Yeah, there's one.
So
right?
that's the, I mean, I would think that they would be putting some of their company funds into Bitcoin to start accumulating it, in the
Right.
20,000 range. So then all of a sudden when it's worth 70, they got a nice profit on their hands, kind of front running basically.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that all of these entities, Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, these people who have been accumulating for a long time because they knew this was coming.
Yeah.
This is just a matter of semantics, not semantics. This is just a matter of it happened. I mean, these guys are all ready to go. They've already got thousands of Bitcoins that they've accumulated. I mean, they knew it was coming. And so they're already packed with Bitcoin. They're not going to be buying it if it gets approved on Monday. They're not going to be buying it Tuesday morning as we just funded our thing today at $49,000. When it jumps to 57,000, they were down in there in the teens and in the 20s. I mean,
Yeah.
Look how much Bitcoin was up last year. Who do you think was buying all that? You think it was me and Anthony and Brad and Chris and David? Hell no. It
Not
was
enough.
institutionals pushing
Well,
that up.
I think the difference there, though, as much as I hate to say it, is that if they were doing it for their ETFs, they would have to purchase them directly through the ETF account, which, granted, they could probably do a backdoor transaction where they're selling from one hand to the other kind of deal.
Yeah.
But
Which they will. Yeah.
yeah, but it's still at the same time, that's going to create a little bit less outflow or even inflow when they do those purchases or sales if they're transferring from one hand to the other, because it's all essentially, it's not off chain, but it's off exchange,
Off market. Yeah.
which shows
Yeah.
less volume trading, which means the algos for these are going to show less volume and trade based on that less. It's going to be a later on kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, this was already purchased and sold. It just changed from one wallet to another. So there's really minimal effect to the price volatility at that point.
Sure, initially, but it's like seeding, right? So they may only have 10,000 Bitcoin or 20,000, 100 million or 200 million or 500 million. And then, as the year goes on, I think I read a couple days ago, they're thinking 3.5 billion the first year for ETFs, right? So I don't think they have that in it now. I'm just saying they've seeded something. And like David was saying, there's some in there that they're going to transfer over that are $20,000 or whatever. And so initially that ETF is going to look fantastic. It'll have 100+% profitability right off the bat. So they're not going to set themselves up for failure is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that if they transfer from one hand to another, that volume will not be shown in the way that you're wanting it to be shown. But there'll be plenty of volume coming from the.
Yeah, it'll be an incremental kind of over time kind of situation rather than as soon as the ETF is approved, there's not going to be this large outflow off of exchanges to ETF wallets or anything similar to that, because it's going to be one hand to the other.
Right, but I think there's going to be so much demand just coming in because there's all this like pent up institutional demand that they can't, like, just think about it. There's like literally like, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 different ETFs out there that, I don't know how many of them would fall into the category of being able to buy Bitcoin, but like all those could buy them through they can add the BlackRock or whatever Bitcoin ETF to their portfolio. You know what I mean? So it's just that I think literally like the price could double, market cap could double. You know what I mean? It's going to go from like 1 trillion market cap to like 2 trillion. I think this year at least double. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna explode. Like, and it could go like 2 or 3 times. Actually, we'll see. It's kind of
I think that's the difference there is that I can see where you're going. It's just that with the fact that a lot of this has already been purchased, it's going to be one of the situations where even though people are filing into these larger ETFs, the ETF itself doesn't improve or change the price except for in speculation. It doesn't change the volume traded because that that amount has already been purchased previously and just
I
traded
don't
one
think
lot.
I think they're more accumulating for themselves. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to like there's just so much money that's going to flow in. They have to buy more to keep up with the demand. You know, they're out there bringing in from other places, and that's going to force the price up. It's kind of like
Well, and they
same.
will, like they
Yeah.
will, but I think it's to a smaller extent because they're going to use some of what they already purchased without it being part of the ETF originally, and they'll just do a faux deal essentially between where they purchased it before and the account for the ETF, which won't show as any transaction volume, won't change the price. It'll just be the portions that come in on top of that they actually have to purchase to balance out for the inflow into the ETF itself.
Yeah, very curious to see what happens there and how it affects the price. I've been loading up. You know, I should have loaded up more last year. I've been loading up more as I know the ETFs are going to make it pop. And I'm just curious how much, and then like I should do a pretty big game, but then we'll see what the downside on the backside of that is, where it ends up, where it settles in. You know, I want to see where it kind of levels out at eventually. That's kind of be a new floor where that's going to end up.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we'll definitely talk about it next month and see where we're at, and then how many more the Ethereum ETFs and others are right behind it. You know, another month or two kind of thing. So cool. If you guys have any topics you want to talk about in the future, you know, hit me up, shoot me a message, or post something in the event page or something like that, and we'll get those calendared for the future.
Maybe like, what's
Ken,
your favorite altcoins? Yeah, we'll see for the bull market.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Can't the chats, I believe, are saved with the recording. And there's actually another thing that Zoom has done with the chats that I think if you go back to your Zoom like software, you might see it saved or something. But let's keep an eye on that. That's like a good topic, or a good thing to look at. I know they keep coming up somewhere here and there. Very good. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and I will get the recording up later today. Have a great rest of your day, and enjoy the rest of the football. We only got a few more weeks to go. Take care.
Also,
Bye. Take care.
if anyone's a poker player, I'm having a poker tournament at my place.